6 months to live. Who? You ain't talking about me. Not me.
Try to say you got what the basketball player got, but you gonna be okay.
I took my lick. I ain't used no condom. That was enough. I took my lick. Leave me alone.
After I was diagnosed and I got out of jail and I continued, I went back into the lifestyle. That was many times that I was confronted as to whether or not I was HIV positive. And I never denied.
Because I was the one that was too afraid, too ashamed, and too embarrassed to call not one or any one of them numbers that they gave me to call for help.
He walks in the office and said, Miss Whitty, you don't have to worry about what's wrong with you anymore. You're HIV positive. I said, I'm dying. I was just told I was HIV positive. My son and I just kind of sat there. He held me, I held him. I didn't even cry. I don't know when I started crying, but for the longest, I never cried.
If you don't get tested, you're part of the problem.
The fact that the virus is no longer and does not need to be a killer virus anymore because we do have treatment, that's where you start.
Seen in the beginning days where everybody was scared to get tested. People would think if I get tested, I'm saying I'm doing something wrong. If I get tested, I'm coming out the closet at the same time. If I get tested, there was more fear of getting tested for social standards than for I don't want to know.
And here I am today, 11 years with a HIV/AIDS diagnosis.
What was once thought to be a death sentence is now being considered a second chance at life. Who are these people? Where do they come from? Where do they live? Just few of the questions being asked by viewers like you who want to know. But in reality, do you really want to know? There are your bankers, your clergymen, the friend next door, your brother, your sister, and yes, even your mother and your father. Here's my point. With Louisiana ranking number 1 once again for AIDS and number 3 for HIV, don't you think it's time to say enough is enough? You might think because you don't do drugs, you don't have unplanned sex, and you definitely won't be drinking any breast milk, which are just 3 of the ways to become infected with HIV, that this problem really doesn't concern you. Well, these are real people with real case situations that has changed the lives of many of the people around them. This is a very sensitive topic that we will be dealing with in the upcoming weeks, so we will treat it with the utmost respect as well as our participants. Let's start first with Miss Millcent Foster, CEO and founder of Phenomenal Women with Voices.
Hi, I'm Millcent Foster. I was born in Chicago, raised in Detroit, moved to Louisiana when I was 18. Now let me tell you my story about my life. Growing up in Detroit was nice. I had a really good childhood. I was very defiant. Oh yeah, gave mama a real hard time. I loved the fellas. Not so much as sexual wise then, just like being around them, because to me, the guys always did interesting things, so I wanted to do everything the guys was doing. I was a real serious tomboy. When I started becoming sexually active, I was high school. It was funny because my mother and I had the same first name, Millcent. So this phone call comes to the house, from some nurse, and when they asked for Millcent, they didn't say what last name or nothing, and I'm used to everybody calling me Yvette, my middle name. So I tell my mama telephone. And the nurse is telling all this stuff to my mama. Mama like, what's the date of birth? And when they said July 23rd, 1960, my mama say, hold on. Yeah, Ain't that a way to find them? Funny way to find out you got an STD. Oh my goodness. Whoo, was my mama mad? She was mad. Yeah, first introduction to STD. And when I came to Louisiana, I was only coming to visit. My sister under me, my first sister under me anyway, she was pregnant, still in high school. And we were staying with my daddy because my two sisters went to school here in Louisiana. They went to high school here. Yeah, so I come down here, so I'm gonna help my sister. You know, she's still in high school. She want to finish school. You know, she first baby. You know, daddy can't do nothing, so I'm gonna come help her with the baby. You know, let them talk me in the stand. That was in 1979. I have never been faithful in my life at that time. You know, never really had a steady relationship at that time. You know, before I met my husband. You know, and how we got married, oh, can't talk about that one. It just should have never happened. That was a marriage that should have never, ever, ever taken place. But it's water under the bridge, because out of that marriage I got 3 beautiful children. My oldest son really knew what was going on with me. You know, and I was the kind of a parent whereas people said I was too open with my business with my children. But I told them, I feel like this, I am a single mother. And if my child walked through that door and find me in a state of mind that it's not normal, I need you to pick up that phone, down 911, and tell the police, my mama smoked crack and I just came home and she ain't her normal self and you need to send an ambulance over here. You know, that's right. That's what I told my children. I set my children down and I put all the dope at the time on the table. They had marijuana, they had powder, they had crack. And I showed them what it was. And because I was tired of hiding from my children, sneaking and trying to sneak and hit, and they walking in on me. You know, so I had to sit them down. Okay, this the deal. This the story. Your mama smoked crack. I know you know a little bit about it because your daddy been smoking it. Well, now your mama smoking. Okay? So when the people in the streets come telling you your mama crackhead, okay, well, it is what it is. Deal with it. You know, so I got to pull this pillowcase off. What the world? I get up and I go to the mirror, and my head is soaking wet. I got this fluid stuff that's draining from my scalp, you know, my face, my neck. What the world? I was like, dang, what happened to you when you stopped smoking crack? This stuff weird, you know. Then I started getting up and I got more and more hair on the pillow, you know, because I had hair. But within a month and a half, I was bald. They say, your HIV test came back positive. Okay, what does that mean? That means you have a viral load of 167,000. Okay, so what does that mean? We had to put you on medication immediately, but it may not do you any good because as high as your viral load is, you may have 6 months. 6 months for what? 6 months to live. Who? You ain't talking about me. Not me. You know, and he's just sitting there and I'm just looking at him. You know, I ain't got my mama. I ain't got my daddy. You know. Alright, whatever. That person that drove me to here, you better give me another appointment because I can't go there today now with the person that brought me here. I lived in Angie, Louisiana. Small town. You know, everybody know everybody. Before I got this diagnosis, they told me the people in the town had already said I had AIDS. It still hadn't sunk in because I ain't know nothing about no HIV. Know nothing about no AIDS. All I knew was if you was gay, you got it. If you shot up needles, you got it. If you had a blood transfusion, you got it. I had none of the above. Because I never heard the part about you can catch HIV or AIDS through sex. Never heard that. My father-in-law gets somebody that started taking me back and forth to New Orleans again, to this clinic. And my first appointment, which was 4 days after I got my diagnosis, I go to the clinic and they sit me in this little bitty small little cubby room. And I got this lady sitting across from me and she's going to the church. Right? Well, Miss Foster, you have a viral load of 167,000. That means that the medication may not work for you. But you know, if you take the medication and do exactly what your doctors tell you to do, you're going to have to stop getting high. You're going to have to stop smoking. You're going to have to stop drinking. But if you do what your doctor tell you to do and take your medication, you may live 8 months. You know, and I'm sitting over there and I'm looking at her. And y'all excuse my French, but before I know that whole I say, bitch, is you positive? No, I'm not positive. But shut the fuck up talking to me. Because you can't tell me nothing. You know, and it was just her attitude, I guess. And with that, I just bust out and started crying. First time I had cried since they told me. And I just bust out and I started crying. You know, and now she don't know what to do. So she gets up and she leaves out and another brings somebody else in. You know, so this nurse comes in, she's sitting now, you know, and she's just kind of talking to me calmly. You know, I don't know what you're going through. You know, I don't have to live like that. I don't know what I can say to make you feel better. I don't know what I can say to help you. But if you just need me to sit here with you and hold your hand, I'm here. You know, and she sat there and she held my hand and she let me cry and she let me curse and just scream. You know, and with that, you know, I was able to start taking the medication. So, one prescription for 2 weeks was $75. The other prescription for 2 weeks was like $90-something, and the other prescription for 2 weeks was like $50. So my mom and daddy came out of pocket for 2 weeks worth of medication. Thank God that's all they paid for. Because before the 2 weeks was up, I was in Charity Hospital ICU after 3 days. After 3 days of taking Bactrim, I couldn't get out of my bed. My daughter and my son would have to get on each side of me and hold my arms up to drag me down the hallway to use the bathroom because I literally had no use of my feet. My feet would not move for me. So my father-in-law came over there one day and he looked at me laying on that sofa. He was like, "God, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Dad, I don't know. This medicine they got me on, and I'm just like this here, you know." And Daddy say, "Put that girl in the car right now. She finna go to the hospital." They took me back to Bogalusa Charity Hospital, emergency room. And the little doctor in there told my daughter, he said, "If you'd have waited another 45 minutes, your mama would have went into a diabetic coma." I'm not a diabetic. How am I going to go into a diabetic coma if I'm not a diabetic? Because Bactrim has sulfur in it, and I'm allergic to sulfur. So my father has left Baton Rouge, come back to Bogalusa, and him and my father-in-law, they go to the Social Security office and talk to this lady that my father-in-law knows, and she gives him all this paperwork, and they bring it back to the hospital, and my father does not leave until the doctors come in, read the paperwork, sign his name, put his name everywhere, fill out all the paperwork and everything he needed. And they took it back to the Social Security office. I went home. I got my diagnosis of being, they say, HIV positive now, but then and now it was AIDS. But I got that diagnosis March 13th, 2002. So, now, here it is. It's July 2002. I'm feeling better. I'm taking this medication. I'm even gaining some weight. I done went from 89 pounds to 106, and I'm not pregnant. So I'm doing everything they tell me to do. I done got off the crack. Still smoking a little weed. Still smoking cigarettes. Still drinking my alcohol. You know, but I ain't on the crack. You know, going to church. Doing all kinds of stuff with church. Just real active. You know. January 6th, 2003. I get a knock on my door at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I knew it was weird because it wasn't my daughter's car. You know, and all she said was, get the baby and let's go. Teresa in a bad car wreck. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. Teresa's supposed to be at home. Her baby had just made 2 in December. He's a Christmas baby. He just made 2, December 2002. January 2003. His mama dies in the hospital. You know, now I'm like, okay. Got HIV. You give me 6 to 8 months to live. Now I gotta bury my one and only daughter, who has a damn 2-year-old son. Who the hell is gonna raise this child? His mama is gone, and now I'm about to be gone. Now you tell me how fucking unfair is life. What the hell did I do to deserve all of this? Well, I'm sorry, Miss Foster, but I really don't see where there's any way we can help you, because I don't feel your addiction is strong enough for us to put you in a program. Huh? You mean to tell me I'm trying to get some help? I want to get off crack. I'm coming to you to try to get some help, and you telling me that my addiction is not serious enough for your program? When I told him that I had HIV, I would hear things like, blip, 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 you trying to kill me. You trying to take me from my children. Why you just not telling me? You could have gave me that. And then I met this one guy, you know, and he and I was just sitting down talking, friendly conversation. And I told him, you know, and he was like, so? It don't mean nothing to me. That just means we gotta use condoms. And I'm looking at him like, where you come from? You know, because it had been like maybe 10 before then. I knew he was sleeping with other women, but at that time, I just felt good about the fact that somebody wanted me. I felt good about the fact that I knew when that man looked at me, all he saw was me. He didn't see no HIV, he didn't see none of that, he saw me. You know, I told him, he accepted it, he dealt with it, and we moved on. You know, and I would be stupid sometimes and not use condoms. He ain't want to use none, I ain't give a damn. He still wanted me. That's all I had in my head. He still want me. When I wrapped my head around the fact that, fool, this man out here sleeping with other women. You know, I had a real strong reaction to that. So the crack went back to 7 days a week to just a weekend thing. Ain't nobody else gonna help me. I'm gonna have to do whatever I can to help myself. I didn't know what a T-cell count was, because when I was going to the doctors in New Orleans, nobody never said anything to me about a T-cell count. You know, so when I hear other people talking about, oh, when I got diagnosed, I had a T-cell count of 4, you know, and I'm looking at them like, I don't know what mine was. Never heard nobody tell me anything about a T-cell count until I came to Baton Rouge. It got to where sometimes I take my medication, and if I ain't feel like taking it, I ain't take it. I was not compliant. The doctor I had at the time, he didn't care if I was compliant or not, because either way it go, he was going to get paid. He say, do you want to live? I was like, I am. He say, no, do you want to live? Because if you're not going to take your medicine, I may as well stop writing the prescriptions, and you may as well just keep living as you say. Because eventually, you're going to kill over and die. So now the choice is yours. When you get ready to be compliant and start taking your medication, then I'll write you another prescription. And he sent me home. I thought about what he said, and I called and I made me another appointment. And I went back in there, and I got my medication, and I was compliant. So they put me in this room. It's a room full of clients, and I'm basically telling my story, my bout with the crack, how everything got started, how I got my diagnosis and everything, you know. And few people in there got tears in their eyes, you know, tearing up and stuff, you know. And afterwards, I got people come and say, oh, girl, you got an awesome testimony, and I wish I was as strong as you. That ain't strong, because I just did this as a favor to Amber, because I'm not doing this no more. And Pat calls me. Hi, Millcent, this is Pat from the Baton Rouge AIDS Society. You know, our prayer breakfast is coming up in 2 weeks, and we would like to know if you want to be our speaker. Okay, I guess. And I was so nervous. I was so scared, because I didn't know anybody that was in the room. I didn't know Pat. I didn't know AJ. I didn't know anybody. You know, so now I'm in a room full of business people, church people, executives of companies, and different organizations, CEOs from different organizations and stuff in here, you know, and they're having this prayer breakfast, and they're praying for the healing of HIV and AIDS, you know, and they got my name on this piece of paper sitting up at the table in the front of the room, you know, and I'm looking around this room, and I don't know anybody that's in here. Then finally I see 2 faces that I recognize, you know. So I'm like, okay. Now I'm really, really nervous, you know. And it was like when they called my name and I stood up to tell my story, I was a different person. I was nervous, but I had fire in me. Like it was something that I was supposed to be doing. You know, and I did it like I had been doing it for years. And that was only my 2nd time ever telling my story. You know, and the whole room was like, in December 2009 for World AIDS Day programs here in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas, I had 6 different speaking engagements that I was invited to. You know, when I found that I was able to stand up in a room full of people that I did not know and tell my story and have no shame about it. And all of these people are coming up to me and they're hugging me and they have tears in their eyes and they're telling me how awesome of a person I am. You know, and I mean, they're really, really just boosting my ego. I have a new outlook on life. You know, people say HIV is a death sentence. I say HIV is a life-changing event, because it has changed my life tremendously for the better. Those people that once looked down their nose at me, now want to be my best friend, call me and ask me for information. My son, who had lost all respect for me, is not my best friend. I can call him and tell him anything. I blame my mother for a lot of the bad choices that I made, but I had to come to grips with and realize that I made those choices, not her. So everything that's happening in my life is my fault, nobody else's. I am so happy today, happier than I have ever been. I don't mind letting everybody know that I am HIV positive, because I feel good about me. Within the next 2 years, I will have my bachelor's degree in business. See, it even encouraged me to go back to school. I've had 2 job offers. Got an interview tomorrow. You know, but everybody talks about the bad things about having HIV or AIDS, and I say look at the good things about it. Even though it changes your life, it can change it for the better. Because I have some, oh man, tremendous friends. I have friends that now, because in the beginning I would be like, I had to know you for at least a month before I even told you my status, you know. And now I'd be like, well, you know I got HIV, huh? And all the responses I get is, and so what? And I had to learn, when you make that first step of telling somebody your status, oh yeah, you're going to get a lot of negativity, but you're going to get a whole lot of positive, you know. And I have so many people with positive attitudes that's backing me and supporting me, you know. I walk with my head held high every day. I had a lady that told me, until she heard my story, she was so dumb to HIV and AIDS until she thought that being around a person like that, she could catch it. So I know by me stepping up and stepping out and speaking up, I am helping somebody. And I would like to say to any and everybody that's watching this, if you like your life, if you want to live a long, prosperous life, go get tested. Know your status. It's important.
We hope you have enjoyed watching the first episode of Living with HIV and AIDS. In the coming series, we will discuss HIV and AIDS. Where do we go from here? For further information, please contact realnews.com or Ebony and Ivory Productions at 225-387-1114. That's 225-387-1114.